There we go. We're officially live. Yay. That took way too long today.
Officially live.
It's a fish and it's live. Don't forget to go live on your Instagram. I'm waiting.
I'm not sad about the stock lo-fi beats.
Are you still waiting?
I'm still waiting. It's not doing it.
So I know that I went live on my side. Maybe it's your internet connection. Good morning, Robin Hendricks.
Possibly. I'm on Wi-Fi today because I am live from Chez Fromage, the house of my father.
Where are you at, actually? You're like in Minneapolis?
Yeah. Minnesota. And
Minnesota.
It is so good to like hear that accent in the wild.
So it's
I'm just like, oh, the land of my people.
It's very strange for me because coming from, so I lived there for 6 years. Good morning, Eric Oden. Thanks for joining us on the Gram Fam. Fly is at Chez Fromage in Minneapolis, and we were talking about accents from Minnesota. So it's very funny because you don't realize how you pick up, at least for me, you pick up some of those vowel intonations.
Yep.
And then there's other things that just, so like, they don't say bag. They say, how do they say?
I'm not even going to do it because every time I say that, this is one of these words that every time I say it, people make fun of me.
Like instead of wagon, wagon.
Wagon. I don't know, man. I'm the great American melting pot of accents. So
Bagley. It's instead of Bagley, it's Bagley.
Good morning, Dwayne.
I'm like,
I'm going to abandon my Instagram because it's just not doing it. So sorry, Instagram.
Yeah, and I'm not showing, like, I'm not even showing that Dwayne's on here. I'm not showing anybody is on here this morning. This is very strange. So if you are joining us,
Julia, wait, can you see? Can I bring a comment? Big.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah. And so like, okay, so here I lived in Northwest Minnesota, like 35 miles south of Canada. That's how far up north we were. And
cry laughing.
There's a town called Hallock, Hallock, and I called it Hollick for a very long time until somebody like corrected me and they're like, it's Hallock. I'm like, wow, okay, nice. And then there's a place called Pembina, Pembina, Pembina. And coming from Arizona and everything is like long eyes, we called it Pembina. And they're like, Pembina? Where's Pembina? Do you mean Pembina? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. Excuse my language, people on LinkedIn.
I love it. I think I'm freezing too. Am I freezing out?
No, you're not freezing. You're good. You're good. You're good. Okay, so Fly has a PSA for us. I have a PSA about our whole show today is based on the 3 E's and posting with purpose, right? But there is something I do want to talk about that was brought to my attention by a very good friend, Nick Ihorn, who was like, yes, he says, what are your thoughts on this? Commercial Ben, thanks for joining us on the Gram Fam. Wow, we got lots of people joining us on the Gram Fam today.
I'll join.
So Nick sent me a text message and he's like, what are your thoughts? And I looked at what he was showing me and it's somebody has taken somebody else's content, completely stolen it word for word, including the image,
Unreal.
And basically has claimed it as his own. So this was a post that went out last November on X by a different creator. And now somebody else has taken it and shared it on LinkedIn. Come to find out that this is quite a tactic that this person employs. Can I tell you, please do not do this. If you are going to be inspired by somebody else's content, by all means, be inspired. And it's not even a bad idea to be like, hey, I was reading this post and it made me think of this, and tag the other creator in there. And yes, if you're putting content out, you are a content creator. You're not just a broker, you're not just an analyst, you are a content creator. So this is kind of one of those things where it's just like best practices, best like common knowledge that you shouldn't be taking somebody else's content and claiming it as your own and putting it on the socials as your own. And I think we need to call out people who do those things because it's not right. I've had people steal my content before, and I'm a snarky bitch. So like I went in and I was like, I'm so glad you were inspired by my content. Right? Like right? Like call it out where you see it. If you feel the need to, but please don't be stealing other people's content from other platforms and claiming it as your own. So that is my PSA. And then to Fly sent me some messages last night and she has a PSA.
So double check the links that people send you.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened is, and okay, so it's like there are people on the internet who are out to scam you. This is very like, that's just true, right? And so it's
people
like
suck.
People suck. And so it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you hear about it happening to other people, or it's like you talk about it and then like you just never think it's going to be you, right? Because you're like, anyway, so what happened was somebody on Instagram DM'd me, and I was busy the last couple of days, so I wasn't like actively looking at my Instagram DMs. And I sort of saw them, and I'm like, this is weird. And so what it was somebody asking the message, which ended up being a spam scam. Was somebody asking like, hey, can you like go vote for me to like be like ranked on a podcast list or something, like something.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like something totally like kind of tame. And I didn't, here were the red flags for me. This person had never messaged me before. And even that, like that wasn't necessarily like the thing that tipped it off, but it's just like when people are trying to DM you to get you to click on a link to get like what's called phishing, right? It's like you click on a link, you put in your information, but what you've actually done is given the like whoever is actually trying to scam you, like you've given them something like your access to your accounts or something like that, right? They're trying to hack you to get access to your stuff, to your platform, so that they can continue to spread the scam. So it's not, look, we're doing deals on the internet, right? Like it's not out of the question that somebody who has never messaged you before is going to message you to ask you for something. And I think it is a great way to, again, like if you're trying to do something, ask people for support, right? So I don't want to say that every DM that you've never, talked to somebody before is a scam, but it was vote for me for this Spotify thing. And yes. I didn't look at it because I wasn't just focused on that. Then a few hours later, I got a message again that was like, please do this. And so that was another flag for me, because I'm just like, they're pushing urgency. And I was just like, this is so strange. And I looked at the content. I'm like, this person doesn't even have a podcast. And then I looked really closely again, and I'm like, the actual link. So it was like a Spotify thing. They were like dropping like a big name like Spotify. Sorry, this is not as coherent as I thought I was going to be this morning.
You're fine. No, I'm following the thread.
Okay,
I'm following it.
So anyway, so the link that was sent, it looks like it said Spotify, but if you looked really closely, it was Spotify with 2 eyes.
Really?
And so I didn't click on it. I didn't do anything. Instead, I messaged this person and I was like, hey, is this real? Like, or is this spam? Because like, honestly, I'm a content junkie. Like if somebody is trying to get their podcast, whatever, I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm totally gonna do it. So
right?
I was like totally the target audience for the scam, honestly. But I didn't click on it because I was just like, this seems so strange. And so I didn't hear back from him like when I sent that message, but then a few days later or like a day later or something, he did message me back and he was like, hey, yeah, this was a scam. I got hacked because he had like clicked into it
He had
from
done it.
somebody
Yeah.
else sending it to him. And so
What
all of that
platform
is-
was this on?
what's that? It was on Instagram.
It was on Instagram. Okay.
It was on Instagram. And I'm going to write up something about it later on. But it's just like, the silver lining of this is like now for some, like the internet is so strange because like he got scammed, I got spammed, and I was like, hey, is this real? And he was like, no, it's not. It was horrible. And then actually now we're buds.
Like so some good came out of it.
We started chatting, right? And so like, but it is really tough in this space. You've got people who are going to steal your stuff. You got people who are going to try to scam you. So, you know, the PSA that you bring up is the larger problem that is different than this particular one. But
still super valid because you're right. I'm also the target audience. I want to help you succeed. So I'd have been like, hell yeah, I'll freaking vote for you.
I didn't click. Yeah.
I do remember seeing, I don't know if it was on Instagram or if I do remember receiving something like that. I didn't click on it because I'm like, if you've ever followed any of my LinkedIn content, you know how I feel about people asking for shit without actually engaging first. Like, that is one of my huge pet peeves. Like, do not jump into my DMs asking me to jump on a call with you, asking me to do something. And, you know, within reason, obviously. If it's a prospect, then obviously I'm not going to feel that way. But, you know, usually it's a sales pitch, right? Nobody likes to get pitch slapped. So it's right. T-shirt. So and everybody who's listening right now, seriously, Fly and I and Allison Weiss, we are coming up with a line of T-shirts that are going to be stuff that we're like, that needs to be a T-shirt. Pitch slapped is going to be one of the T-shirts. Nobody steal that, okay?
Everyone can steal it. It's our thing. It's already a thing.
It's already there. So, I went off on a tangent and I forgot what I was saying.
It's okay, but just you know, the internet can be a scary place.
Yeah,
there's a bug. The internet can be, you know, it's treacherous. So
yes, and so don't jump into DMs and start immediately doing that. But when there's something that falls into DMs like that, where it's like, I don't know, have we ever interacted before? So like, I mean, common sense says, have you ever interacted with this person before? Have they ever engaged with your content? Have you ever engaged with their content? And then really look at those links. Now, the other thing, let's see, we got, yeah, pitch slapped. We've all had it happen, right? You open up your DMs on LinkedIn and it's like, hi, we feel that you work with, we looked at your profile and you would be a great fit for our company. And I'm like, who the hell are you? Like, you've never engaged with anything that I've done before. So yes, we will autograph them.
Oh my God.
We need to take them to CREI Summit. That's exactly what we need to do. We need to make some random shirts to just hand out there. Speaking of CREI Summit,
yes.
Hey, the tenant advocate. Hey, how are you? You joined us on the Gram Fam, and then what the heck also joined us on the Gram Fam. So welcome. We were talking.
Wait, is that Mike?
No. That's Alvaro.
Oh yeah.
You could set up a table at CREI Summit to sell the T-shirts. Robin, I think we're just gonna give them away. We'll come up with like 10 designs, and we'll have like 20 of them, and be like, you get a T-shirt, and you get a T-shirt.
Oh no, I'm gonna buy a T-shirt gun. Oh no.
That's probably not a good idea for us to have.
Okay. Good idea. What are we talking about?
Okay, so if you're just joining us on the Gram Fam, we had some PSAs about what not to do with content. Please don't steal anybody else's content and then claim it as your own, even if you found it on another platform. Fly was talking about be wary of links in DMs because some of them are they're shitty, so don't click on them. But today we are we are going to finish what we were talking about on Tuesday, which is the 3 E's framework: educate, entertain, and engage your audience. The reason why we want to do this, I did this in radio. It works amazingly well. When I was in radio, we talked about infotainment. Like, people will come to you if you provide information and entertainment. And so that's exactly what we did. There's a ghost behind you. The door just opened.
My mom. It's my mom and the dog. Hi, Mom. Hello. It's Mom Fromage.
Mom Fromage from Chez Fromage.
I'm so excited to be on the podcast. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Oh, and she's repping the Tetra Pak logo. We love it.
Nice. Nice. That's fantastic. Okay, so we're talking about the 3 E's, and people follow you because you know something that they don't. So think about when we're talking about education and educating your prospects and educating your audience, there's lots of stuff that you can come up with about that they don't know, right? We talked about this at the last CREI Summit. Dr. JJ Peterson came on and he says, you talk from an expert level at a 10. And I just turned my tracker on. You talk at an expert level at a 10, and your clients are not at a 10. Your clients are at a 3. And even when you think that you're dumbing it down, you're not dumbing it down enough. So look at your content and look at the stuff that you're producing, and then really read it, really absorb it, and go, okay, if I know that my client's at a 3, is this going to be easy for them to understand? And some of the things that you can come up with is like FAQs that you answer all the time, right? These are the conversations that you're already having with your clients. Alvaro says that LinkedIn acted out, so he had to join on Instagram. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. If you don't know who Alvaro is, find him on LinkedIn. He's been doing some amazing work out of Costa Rica.
So good.
Love all of the content that he shares. So definitely give him a follow.
Particularly enjoying his recent series, which is the barista market report, basically.
Yes. That's so good.
Talking about educational content, right?
Yes, that's a prime example right there. It's so good. And it actually makes me stop the scroll. And his voiceover, I don't know if he's doing voiceover or if he's just recording it natively, but that is super. I love sound. So that is a super crisp sound that's coming out. Sounds really good. The other thing that you can do to educate your audience is you can bust myths, right? What are some of the things that people are saying that you're like, that's not true. That's that's not how this works. Yesterday, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works, right? How can you educate the audience about some of the myths that they think about your industry? And then always tap into those recent client conversations that you've had. And the reason why I say that is that is the most up-to-date audience that is wanting information from you. So if your ideal client that you're already talking to is wanting information, guess what your audience is going to want to? They have the same questions, right? And so create content based on that. And you don't have to over teach, right? So if you have this big, go ahead.
Sorry. People interpret the educate part of their content stack as lecturing people.
Yeah.
And that's not
it's not a TED Talk. No, it could be. I mean, it could be great.
I would like Alvaro to give a TED Talk.
James Milner joined us over on the Gram, fam. Thanks, James.
But it's I do think that sometimes people get stopped up in their content like that because they think it needs to be like that. And again, pointing back to what you just said is you're probably not lecturing your clients. So you're having a conversation with them, right? And so I think that the way that you can,
your clients,
the way that you, I'm sorry, some clients need lecturing, but sorry,
sorry, not sorry. This is absolutely true.
the way that you can communicate educational content does not have to be in the form of a lesson, right? Like, and the other thing I think that I just want to highlight here briefly is that for newer brokers or newer agents who don't necessarily sorry. Share what you're learning and ask questions. That's it. That's what I was trying to say. You're going to have to go.
I love it. This is, hey, we're a very mobile business, right? So we can broadcast anywhere. So I guess one of the action items that I would suggest for people who are joining us today and who end up watching this on replay is that what are 3 questions that you've answered this past week from clients? And if you haven't talked to any of your clients, maybe you should get on the phone and call them. But what are those questions that you're talking about, and how did you have those discussions with them? That is 3 posts right there that you can easily get out based on just conversations that you're already having. So next up, we're going to talk about entertain. So the 3 E's are educate, entertain, and engage. And this is where you're going to let your personality shine. Obviously, Fly and I have very big personalities, and we're not afraid to share them on social. We're not afraid to share them when you meet us in real life. It's welcome to the shit show, basically. So this is where you can allow your personality to shine. And we did have a conversation on Tuesday, and I think it was Marcy Moneypenny who brought it up about the fact that a lot of big brokerages don't allow brokers to have as much of a social media presence, and so it's harder to have a personal brand. And while I understand that, and I absolutely do, there is always the opportunity for individual brokers to work within their company guidelines and still show their personality, right? Still show how they take care of their clients and their prospects in a way that, when you meet them in real life, you're like, oh, okay, you're the same person that I saw online. How you entertain? Well, you come up with, what's a funny story that happened? Maybe it's something that happened in the office. Maybe it's something that happened with a client. You don't have to be a comedian to entertain people. Entertainment comes in all forms. Memes, as much as Caprate Craig has great memes, but you can always share a meme to entertain somebody that applies to your audience completely. And you can always do a personal story with a takeaway. And again, like Fly said, it doesn't have to be a complete teachable moment. It could just be like, this is what I learned. Like, I don't go outside in Minnesota in the middle of summer without bug spray on because you'll get carried away by the mosquitoes, which, is absolutely true.
That's true.
Side anecdote to Minnesota in the middle of summer. So I had mentioned earlier that we lived in Northwest Minnesota, and we were doing fireworks, which is totally illegal, but we were still doing fireworks, and freaking mosquitoes. They were just awful. And the town had come through and they had sprayed for mosquitoes. Basically, we lived in a swamp. Like, I felt like Shrek, but that's beside the point. And so one of our neighbors had like a bug fogger or something like that. And so we borrowed it and we put it around like the front yard so we could like set off these fireworks. It only stopped, like, it didn't stop the mosquitoes. It slowed them down long enough that you could hear them like, yeah, it was awful. I was like, that's
the dog was like, what? Just now. The other thing I want to bring up about entertaining content is that there are more ways than just being funny and telling jokes or like being personable, like being yourself, right? That can be entertaining. But I want to bring back the example of what Alvaro is doing right now with his market insights, in that, like, it's not like so many people just like put the market report. They're just like, look at the market report. It's right here. Look at it. Look at the numbers. Look, Alvaro's not doing that, right? Like, first of all, do you know how hard it is to make coffee? Like, really? Like the kind of coffee that Alvaro is making? Like, it's not easy. And so
and hold on, I'm going to jump in real quick because the kind of coffee that Alvaro has is chef's
so
kiss.
good.
He gave me some coffee when I saw him at SIOR conference. And like, we went through that coffee so fast. I was like, this is the best coffee I've ever had in my entire life. It was so good. Anyway, Alvaro, if you ever want to give me some more, like full 100%.
But it's like, it's by doing something different in the way that he's presenting it, it's also very tied to like him and what he likes. It's a format that you see used in other kinds of content, right? Like, there's something about it that makes it more enjoyable to consume as content than just a spreadsheet or like whatever, right? And a graph. Although I have been seeing lately on LinkedIn, spreadsheets, maps, graphs, just like different sort of like technical documentation. Like, I'm seeing a lot of that stuff doing really, really well. But like, the trick is that in the caption, it's couched in story.
Yep, absolutely. Everything, if you look at any of the really great people on LinkedIn, they're not preaching at you. They're not trying to teach you something. They're not trying to do any of that stuff. You'll find a lesson in what they write, but it's all about storytelling. It all goes back to storytelling and how do you tell a good story. So when we're talking about entertainment, and you want to tell a story, here's something that you can do. What made you laugh? What made you cringe? Or what made you think about something this week? If you can do that, then obviously you should. What made you think this week? You should share that, right? And it doesn't always have to be regarding business, but because we do live our lives online so much, yes, it should be a mix of business and personal depending on your personality. All right, let's wrap this up. We have engagement. Your content should be a conversation with the audience. It shouldn't be a monologue, right? Though sometimes monologuing is fun. You should always ask questions, right? But it should be in an organic way, not that right at the end where you're trying to get people to engage with you. It should be throughout the story that they want to engage with you. So if you do post a question at the end, they're more than likely to respond. You need to also respond. That was a direct hit. Okay, Marcy, you're going to have to let us know what was a direct hit. You need to respond to comments on your posts, and then you also need to go and engage on other people's posts. That is part of the algorithm. That is the reason that you see content get shared, you see content get a wider audience, is because of the fact that people are actively engaging on the platform. I know I get asked a lot, which platform should I be on? And my answer is, what platform do you like to be on, right? If you like being on LinkedIn, then actually actively engage with other people's posts. If you like to be on Instagram, do the same thing. The more active you are on a platform, the more that the platform is going to reward you and share your content to a wider audience. Now, before we go, last thing that I want to leave you guys with is, and this is going to be counterintuitive to maybe what you hear a lot of people say, like Alex Hormozy, or actually, no, I think Gary Vaynerchuk, and Fly and I will probably talk about this on Tuesday. Gary Vaynerchuk is saying that, hold on, Dwayne, I'll answer that question in just a second. Gary Vaynerchuk is coming out and saying that it's not social media anymore, it's interest media, based on the way that the algorithms are working. It's based on interest. It's no longer based on who you're connected with. I think LinkedIn is probably the last bastion of connections, right? The last one of people that you're connected with. If you go on Instagram, Twitter, if you go on, X, even Facebook nowadays, TikTok particularly, TikTok is kind of the one that ushered all of this in, is that interest media, where it's showing you what it thinks it as if it's a thing, what it thinks you're going to be interested in. So these are people that you're probably not going to be following. This is, again, not necessarily LinkedIn wise. I don't know if LinkedIn's going to be making this switch. Very well could be, because that's what keeps people on the platform. It's what keeps people on TikTok longer than any other platform, right? It used to be Instagram used to be the one that kept people on the platform all the time. And then TikTok came out with a For You page, and people were just scrolling, mindlessly consuming content. But the point that I was making is that you don't have to post every day. So don't put it in your brain that you have to post every day. And if we're talking specifically about LinkedIn, LinkedIn does not want multiple, and I'm talking like multiple posts per day. I was actually talking with somebody, and they had heard from another person that you need to keep repeating your message and sharing the same thing over and over and over again. And I was like, oh, that's not a good idea. And then I went to this person's profile that had said that, and they're posting like 6 times a day on LinkedIn. And 1 or 2 posts is getting some engagement, but the rest of them are just sitting flat. And it's not, why not take that content, really look at it and spread it out, and then start engaging with people on the platform, so that when you do post, they're like, oh, hey, so-and-so posted. I'm going to go engage with that. I'm going to go read that. That has caught my attention. So that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to bring up. But that's how you use the 3 E's weekly: educate, entertain, and engage. Like I said, you don't have to post every single day. And what the heck? My wonderful, fabulous husband has created a swipe file for the 3 E's. So if you want the swipe file, just DM me on LinkedIn or Instagram or X or wherever you're watching this from, and I'll send that swipe file to you. Fly, do you got anything? When are you going to be back home?
I'm leaving back today. So.
Oh, are you really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But
Gotcha.
then I'm coming back here for like a week in the end of the month. So, and I'm planning on some shenanigans. So more to come.
Yay, we love the shenanigans. Oh, okay, hold on real quick. Dwayne said, do you have to go to someone's page because not everyone comes up? So if you are connected with somebody, and this is on any platform, if you're connected with somebody and you realize that you haven't seen them in a while, go find them and go see what's happening. It may mean that like maybe they posted a couple times and you didn't engage with them, and so now their content's not showing up in your feed. It could be the fact that maybe they haven't posted in a while, which is why you haven't seen them. And if that's the case, reach out. Like, you never know.
Oh, yeah, send a DM for sure.
Absolutely.
100%. Again, I think I said that we were talking about this like last week or some point. Like, you need to be like, if you are nurturing and cultivating, and I like those words are silly. If you have relationships on the internet, you need to feed them. You need to be intentional about them. And I think at some point we're going to have a whole chat about like the discipline and passivity of like using social media in the wrong way, right? But it's like it is 100% necessary to go in and like treat these relationships in a way that is going to sustain them. And, you know, if they're not showing up in your feed, I'm just repeating everything that you just said. Sorry. Let's talk about it later.
Okay. Next week, I want to talk about hooks that stop the scroll. So hopefully you guys will join us then. Don't forget, we've got the Social Mastery VIP group on School. The link is down at the bottom. Would love to have you there. Fly and I are in that group, and we are talking about marketing and the entire ecosystem. So it's not just social media. We're talking about websites, and we're talking about email marketing. Lady Liddy just joined us over on the Graham Fam. We are about to close it out. You can watch the replay. And James Milner says, I got my CRE Country Club swag and it's fire.
Awesome.
If you have not seen the CRE Country Club swag, it's by
It's Craig. It's Capright Craig.
Yeah, it's Capright Craig.
My boy. Sorry.
No, you're good. He does some fabulous stuff, and you can go check it out on. Is he on LinkedIn or is he just on X?
No, because he's a non. So I'm sure he is on LinkedIn, but I told him, I did tell him, I was like, I don't want to know who you are. I would just want the mystery to go on forever. I never
want the
want
mystery. I want the mystery to be involved in my
and
life.
I don't, it's like, I would never ever recommend anybody starting a non-account if they're trying, like today. And we that's another topic we should talk about. Let's table that.
Yeah.
But Craig,
I love how you just did that. Craig.
I am a fan. Okay, we need to go.
Okay. Everybody have a great day, and you'll see us back here on Tuesday. Bye, everyone.